We're back again. It's been so long. Hope you're doing well. My name is Sean Shapiro. I am a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day, at least when I'm in the office. And that wasn't happening last week because I was off on vacation, enjoying time away. And now I'm here, enjoying time with you. I'm looking forward to it. This is that show that answers your traffic and police questions. It's where you get to have access to a police officer who knows stuff and things about things you might be interested in. And of course, donuts. I love talking about donuts. I don't eat them very often, but I do like talking about them. I don't know why. It just seems to be the go-to when there's nothing else to talk about. I say donut. We are, of course, broadcasting on a number of different channels. It's one of these. Yes, we are currently on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and X. And whatever is best for you is what you should use. If it makes you happy, go with it. I will tell you that YouTube and TikTok might have the best experiences, but, I'm biased. If you're not already following us and you want to know how to get to our other channels, well, I would suggest you jump over to ASKaTrafficCop.ca. That is where you can get all of our useful links and social media contacts. You can get me on LinkedIn or any other platforms, just any of them. Yeah. Now, if you're watching and you're on X, because that tends to happen very often, know that you can actually reach out to us and ask questions. You can be part of the show. This whole show is about you. It's about answering your questions. So if you aren't on a platform that allows you to connect with us easily, then move. And I say that with love to the people who are currently watching on Instagram, because Instagram doesn't integrate with our system as well. It means I got to look over there and say hello, and I miss you a lot. Like I ignore you a lot is a more appropriate. So I'm looking at you right now, Instagram. YouTube is going to be where it's at for you. If you go to youtube.trafficcop.ca, you go straight to our YouTube page. Just saying. Okay. With that said and done, I also want to let you know that I keep saying I download this and I've been broadcasted on the podcast platforms. Yeah, we're on Spotify, which then links into Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts. It used to be Google, but now I think it's going to be under YouTube Podcasts. Anyway, we're everywhere. We're everywhere. If you want to download, synchronize, follow, and then, because you can't always watch live. And you certainly can't watch while you drive. So save yourself some time, download it. You get back to the business, throw a question in there, we'll get to it. You can listen to your answer later when you're driving to or from work or on the subway or however you want to get that content. You don't burn your data and you don't break the law, at least if you're driving. Don't break the law. We're kind of big on that here. Let's see here. We got, let's jump into stuff and things. Oh, one last thing before we get into the comments from you. I want to mention the fact that Vision Zero Enforcement Team, I gotta say hey to them. They are the magical group of officers who spend time in our city every single day trying to change driver behavior. They are out there focused on the big four. What are the big four? I'm glad you asked. They are simply the behaviors that lead to serious injury and death more often than not. So we know that speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving are the ones that are the worst. And that's why they focus on those. Today, they are spending time in 11 Division and 51 Division. Those are the neighborhoods like Junction, Weston, High Park, Roncy, St. Jamestown, Cabbagetown, Riverdale, Church and Yonge, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play. And they deserve to be safe, just like you. In fact, we post these locations on our Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook pages every single day to let people who live there know that we're there working on their neighborhoods, working to keep them safe. And we're very often asked, why do we warn people? Why don't we just catch them? Well, we don't warn the drivers who are doing dumb stuff. We warn the communities to know that we're out there helping them. And you should follow us on those channels so you know when we're in your neighborhood. Northern Pike says, good morning, Sean and beautiful world. Paul says, Google morning. Sean, hello all. He corrects it to good morning, and I thank you because I was confused with the Google morning. Maybe you were buying stock or something was going on. Tracy says good morning. Liz says, woohoo, welcome back from your vacay. Thank you very much, Liz. Much appreciated. Paul says that the Canadian Tire Motorsports Track, Motor Park, was incredible this past weekend. I might, is it this weekend? Did I screw up? I think I did screw up. I was supposed to be there this weekend because my friend's team was racing, or is that the weekend after? I'm confused. I was invited to come out to see my buddy's race team, and I think I got my wires crossed and mixed up my weekends. Yeah, that happens on occasion. That stinks. I would have liked to have gone there because it's always fun to see cars go fast in a safe place where they're supposed to be doing what they do. Yeah. Okay, I gotta like write things down next time. I'm so disappointed now. Thanks for reminding me that I met or telling me that I messed up big. Anyway, Northern Pike says, "Hope you had a great week off." I did. Every weekend or every week that I get to spend time with the fam, it's good. I took the kids to camp. They spent time with doing fun sports stuff. It was good. Yeah, it was all around really, really good. Chase says, "Good morrow." Good morrow to you. Just another Manic Monday, says Zombie with a new tattoo. And LJ says, "Welcome back. Your show has been missed." Well, thank you very much. I have missed you as well. Not you, like all of you, not singling out LJ, but yeah, it's weird not going live, not communicating with y'all. But there's been lots of stuff going on. This weekend got hijacked by the events in the United States. That I deep diving into the news. That's probably why I missed the going to the track, because I was just all about what happened in Pennsylvania. So that was something else. Okay. Randy McNaught says, "Stay dry today, Sean. All the best from the Forest City." Is it supposed to rain today? I was looking at the weather for next weekend, because next weekend we're at Honda Indy, and that's what I'm all focused on right now, is preparing for the magic of the Ontario dealers, the Ontario dealers Honda Indy, or the Indy, I'm confused. But it's the magic of IndyCar, and it's going to be in Toronto, and I'm going to be there all weekend. If you are in town and able to come visit, come see me at Honda Indy this weekend. Fan Friday on Friday, because it's Fan Friday, is free. Make a donation. That's how it works. So more to come on that. I'll put some information out as to what's going on, but I'm really looking forward to it. Brandon says, "Good morning, Sean. Hope you had a fantastic vacation. Let's all have a wonderful day." Well, absolutely. I did, and thank you, and let's do that. Wonderful day in effect now. Tim Shallow says, "Good morning, Sean. Welcome back. Hope you had an amazing vacation." I did. Thank you very much. Julie Massey says, "Good morning, Sean. Welcome back." And Chase wants to know if dealer or sealer are dealer/service plates accepted interprovincially. That's a very good question. I've never been asked that, and I don't know the answer, but I assume they would be. How many? Yeah, I can't imagine that they wouldn't, as long as the conditions of those plates are being met. I don't know if a service plate requires you to drive somewhere else, but if it's for the delivery of a vehicle, maybe. I like the questions that are out in left field. Chase never disappoints when it comes to questions I don't have answers to, because he's probably the most often causer of me to not know the answer, because he asks unique questions. That is, he's also here a lot, so he knows which questions we talk about all the time. Question of, how old were you when you got hired? Originally, or when I became a police officer? Because I got hired at 25. I think I was 25 when I got hired as an auxiliary constable. Within 6 months, I was also a court officer special constable. And then I think it was 38 when I became a police constable. So it was a little ways later. But, there's no too old, really. Absolutely. If you were considering becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, go and visit this website with answers. And the answers are found here at tps.ca/careers. We'll talk more about that in a bit, but certainly that's a good place to get started. Potato wants to know if I answer questions. Yes, it's sort of the premise of the whole show, but we get through the hellos, which oddly enough take 10 minutes because we got lots of people who come to say hello. But yes, definitely moving into questions now, yours being one of them, if you ask it. Okay. You're put back on the road, but you have to pick any car from a TV series to use. Which one would you pick? Okay. That's really tough. I mean, I want to say if Kit was Kit and real, I'd probably take Kit, because Kit's from Knight Rider is probably still the most incredible. Is there a better one? I think that's the one. From TV series turned reality, I think I'd have to take Kit. I was a big Knight Rider fan. I can't watch it now because well, I watched a couple episodes. It's kind of Baywatch slow motion. It's just a little bit. Yeah. Do you know how they actually got Kit to drive? When he was alone, they had someone sitting under the seat. There was a special rig so they could sit under the seat. Anyway, I think that's the answer I'm going to go with. Unless something else comes to mind before the end of the show. Isabella wants to know, is stunt driving 55 over a serious offense that is difficult to lessen the sentence? Sorry, is stunt driving a serious offense? Stunt driving is a very serious offense. 55 over is one way to trigger it. So 50 over in an area that is 80 kilometers an hour or above, 50 over would trigger it. There's other ways to do it, but that's one. If the speed limit is under 80, then 40 kilometers an hour over the speed limit triggers it. And yeah, it is both incredibly serious. That's why it comes with a 14-day vehicle impound and a 30-day suspension. But on conviction, we're talking about a 1 to 3 year driving prohibition for the first conviction. Second conviction is 3 to 10 years. Third conviction is lifetime ban from driving. It's a $2,000 to $10,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail. Not to mention the fact that any conviction like that is going to do wonders for your insurance rates. It's not a good idea. So speed, again, one of the ways to do it. Donuts, drifting, things like that, also stunt driving. And 150 kilometers an hour anywhere. I didn't mention that. Regardless of what the speed limit is, even if it's 110, if you do 40 over, bringing yourself over 150 or 150 anywhere, it's stunt driving. All right. Oh, Liz says, I've been watching a lawyer named Hugo Lords on YouTube. Sometimes he talks about miss and run, where the driver wasn't hit but caused a collision. How does TPS handle the equivalent of miss and run? I think Hugo Lords is a guy that I watch on TikTok, and I'm just going to confirm by going and Googling him, because if it's the guy that does Lawyer's Reaction, it is him. He's awesome. I watch him all the time on TikTok because I love his lawyer reacts videos. Fantastic channel. So thank you for telling me his name, because I don't think I've ever looked it up. I just follow him. So miss and run, you can be indirectly involved in a collision. I'll give you a perfect example. I rear-ended a car many years ago. I rear-ended a car because the car in front of me slammed on the brakes because a car that was in a separate lane cut them off and drove into a mall parking lot and then pulled over. That driver was that cut off the vehicle in front of me and ultimately stopped, caused him to make an evasive maneuver or an emergency braking, and me to make an emergency braking, losing traction and having a minor collision. That driver was charged because both of us had the same story. That person was still there, admitted to doing what they were doing, and they were ultimately charged. I think I was charged too, but because I did make contact, that was the last vehicle, but I was possibly following too close. Was I charged? I don't remember. All I know is that happened, and that person was absolutely the cause of the collision. But I've never heard miss and run as a terminology. Apparently, I don't watch all of his videos. TiVo wants to know why we don't send troops to Brampton. Troops, like officers? Well, Brampton has a different police service that services Brampton, and we're the Toronto police, so we don't go to Brampton for policing, unless not for traffic enforcement anyway. We might do joint operation stuff and things. What can I do? What can I do if sideswiped by a car on my electric scooter? If you got sideswiped, it's a collision. Call the police. Go to a collision reporting center if you're able to, but the driver needs to stop and exchange information. They've been in a collision with you, and they're legally obligated to exchange information with you. That being said, is your electric scooter legal? I hope it is, because if it's not, you may also find yourself getting charged for certain things if your scooter is not legal. Like if it's capable of going more than 32 kilometers an hour, or if it's not covered under the e-bike pilot. So be forewarned, that could happen. You could find yourself being charged even though you didn't cause the collision, let's say. But having legal stuff is important, just as in general. Is it legal to pass a vehicle over a double solid yellow line in Ontario? So in the province of Ontario, it's not illegal to cross the yellow line, double or single. Or the yellow just means that the traffic on the other side of that line is coming at you. It's a different direction of travel. White line, the vehicles on the other side of the white line are going in the same direction as you. It's in the driver handbook. People say, no, it's cautionary. No, I once thought like you. I was wrong. But here's the thing. While you may not break the law by crossing the line, you may be breaking the law by driving carelessly, making unsafe maneuvers. There's other things that come into play, even though there's no charge for the line itself. I will tell you this, though. They are looking to change the law. They want to make it so that it is, in fact, illegal. It just hasn't happened yet. Okay. This is always a good question. Can I place my front plate in the windshield because I don't want to put holes in my front bumper? I know I didn't read that verbatim, but it's the gist of it. No. I mean, you can do it, and then you get a ticket for it because it's illegal. Either put holes in your bumper or get a tow hook adapter, and avoid putting the holes in your bumper, as you say. Let's see here. Chat. I got to try and fix the chat because my producer, who's working magically behind the scenes, said that the TikTok bot's not working. So let's fix it. Hopefully this fixed it. Okay. Thank you, moderator, for your help. It's always nice to have a moderator. So the answer is it's a $110 ticket. That's the long and the short of it. But you put it in the tow hook adapter, and you avoid those charges because you're displaying it as appropriate. Behind the windshield, though, is not appropriate, not permitted. What do we got here? Good. What? It slid down. It was there, and then it wasn't. Okay, here we go. Master Jojo says, good morning. Hope drivers behave this week and you guys have an easy time. You know what? I hope so too. I miss being on the road, but I do hope that my colleagues who are out on the road have a calm one. I don't say the Q word, but calm. And they get the opportunity to do proactive policing. Because so often we're so tied up with reactive collision investigation that we don't have time to change driver behavior. That's why we have the Vision Zero enforcement team, because they do nothing but. They don't get held up with collisions, per se. But it is one of those things where the more time we have to focus on the bad actors, the people who are choosing to break the law and put others in jeopardy, the better the week goes. Yeah, it's a choose your own adventure kind of thing. All right. Oh, hi. Wondering if it's legal for the garbage guy to ride on the back of the truck. So it's funny that you mentioned that because it's not the first time I've been asked this question, and it's got to be legal. I mean, I can't imagine it not being legal, but I've not found anything to support it being legal. Maybe it's based on speed, but I don't remember what we researched the last time this question was asked. So I don't have a good answer for you, other than someone asked me this before. I think we had the answer, and my gut tells me it must be legal. Otherwise, we'd be stopping them whenever we saw them. That would be problematic. But now I want to look it up again. At least find where it's supported. And this is probably where there's an exemption under the HTA for their use in that particular situation. So let's find out. Just not going to be able to find out right now. If you want me to respond to you directly and you're not able to hang around or want to watch the next time we talk about it, you can always go to TrafficCop.ca and hit the button for send me a message. Then I will respond to you through the email. Okay. This person says, hey, question. Hey, answer. Okay. Lacey says, never asked anything on here before. Can someone report a crime if they're not willing to testify or be a witness if it goes to court? So you can. It's something called Crime Stoppers. It's anonymous reporting. 222-TIPS, 1-800-222-TIPS is the website as well. And you can make anonymous reports, absolutely. Is it better when we have someone who will be a witness? Sure, but we also understand that that puts you in a jeopardy situation depending on what's going on. So 1-800-222, do I have a little thing for this? Hang on a second. Usually I have these wonderful thingamabobbers. Here, look at this. Or it's kind of mid-sentence there. But that would be the way to do it. Toronto Road Camp says, good morning, Sean. Good morning to you, too. I've been watching some of your videos recently. Some good stuff coming that they've been putting out there. Just a reminder to please use the letter Q to start your question so I know it's a question, and that way I can address it. Hey, moderator, are the questions coming in again? Is it working? Did we fix it, or is it still broke? Fixed. Awesome. Thank you so much. Basher at Alley says, good morning, Sir Sean. Actually, I added the good. Just said, morning, Sir Sean. Have a beautiful day. Drive carefully and take care of pedestrians. Yeah, we are big on pedestrians and protecting vulnerable road users. They do take risks by being out there amongst those cars who aren't paying attention. Excuse me. Apparently, I need some water. Evandro says, good morning. Your Brazilian fan watching again. And good morning to you, sir. I've been following Evandro's channel. He takes a lot of our content and then translates it into Spanish and Portuguese for his audience. But he's also working out towards becoming a police officer, and he's training, and some very good vibes there and inspiring stuff. Okay, do I have to put my window down if it's not a traffic stop? What do you mean? To whom? What's the scenario? Like, do you have to put the window down if you're just driving around? What kind of traffic? What are you talking about? I don't understand what your question is. If police stopped you, it's a traffic stop. If you're driving, they stopped you. Put the window down. I don't understand the scenario. Okay, we're moving on. Okay. Ranjit says, officer, if I had a party last night and I had some beers, how long am I not able to drive? That really depends on you. I arrested someone at 9:30-ish in the morning after they had woken up to go to work. After a hard night of partying, they were still drunk. So it really depends. Everyone deals with alcohol differently. I can't give you a specific number because it may not apply to you. You may process alcohol faster or slower than the next person. So the answer is when you're sober. You must be sober to drive. What is this? Somebody else wants to know, why does putting your windows down in a traffic stop matter? Because if pulling you over to stop you, you have to talk to us. You're actually obligated to talk to us. If your windows are broken, you're going to open the door, but we're going to talk to you. Not doing that is bad. What is this? They said, why is gang task force pulling people over and illegally searching residents with nice cars? What? If you pull you over, you're in a car, not a residence. Or you're saying that searching people? Yeah. If we're doing a traffic stop and they have the legal justification and authority to search you based on the things they found, then they do what they have legal authority to do. Breaking the law, not a good look. So they wouldn't be doing that. Okay. Carl Freeman says, good morning, Sean. Good morning back to you. Let's see here. Is it legal for motorcycle to lane split when cars are moving or at a stop in Ontario? It's not legal anywhere in Canada, actually. And a lot of people get confused because they say, well, there's no charge or no section that deals with lane splitting specifically. And they'd be right. But it's not legally or expressly permitted. There is no permission to lane split. And the act of lane splitting qualifies as either careless driving, stunt driving, or criminal dangerous driving. So you take your chances when you do that, not only because it's risky and dangerous, and even in places like Los Angeles or California where it's legal, they clearly state that it's incredibly dangerous. Speed differential is usually the biggest problem in areas where it's legal. That people are traveling way too fast in comparison to the rest of traffic, and when things zig and zag and bad things happen, people get seriously injured or worse. And here is no different. We've had pedestrians killed by people who are lane splitting. We have situations where major collisions have occurred because of lane splitting. It's not smart. Now, there's those people who make the argument saying, well, if it's slow traffic or, my bike's going to overheat. I'm like, I get it. Tough luck. Don't ride on hot days. Like, you can't use that as an excuse to do unsafe things. It just doesn't cut the mustard. How do you cut the mustard? Okay. Avandra has a question about red vehicle license plates. It's on another car with license plates, only the letters were red colored. So red colored license plate, white background, red letters. That's a dealer plate. It used to be different colors, but now it's a dealer plate. And a red background, white letters is a government. It's a what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, the name has escaped me. Diplomatic plate. It's a diplomatic plate. I think that's the appropriate title for it. So they're associated with another country's dignitaries or people who work for the consulate. That's their designation. That's how they can identify them. Yeah. Hope that helps. What do we got here? Talk about cars cutting off truck causing collision. Well, that's bad. The deal with cars cutting off truck. I mean, one of the things that most people don't understand is trucks and cars are different. They're big and heavy versus light and nimble. Big trucks take a lot longer to stop because they have to stop a lot more weight. And that's a big deal that most drivers don't take into consideration when they do dumb stuff around trucks. So don't cut off trucks. Give them lots of space. They may not even see you. Do you remember, I always talk about the story as my example. Do you remember a number of years ago, a Mini Cooper that was on Lakeshore, and it did a ride sideways up the on-ramp onto the Fred Gardner Expressway, the FGX. Yeah. They did a lane change. A dump truck didn't see them because they were too close to the front of the vehicle, and that dump truck just pushed them sideways up the ramp and kept driving. There was some smoke. They figured they'd, check it out at the next stop. Bad move. What do we do? Okay. We talked about this. Talked about this once. I'm reviewing. I'm going through the selections, the options. Someone wants to know who ordered the hit on Trump. I don't know. This is Canada. And the traffic unit. So I wouldn't begin to speculate on topics outside of my specialty by that far. Okay. Interesting. Thaddeus says, as a child in our town, I hung off tailgate of a pickup to collect garbage. Interesting. And what was it? What was the justification legally for you? Or is it just what you did? Because that's what everyone did. Let's see here. Oh, now they want me to comment on Secret Service. I can't. I don't know anything about how the Secret Service works. I'm not qualified to talk about that. Ella says, good morning. Good morning to you. Long time no see. Interesting. Okay. We got Ethel F. who says hello. Hello back to you. What are the consequences in Ontario for not slowing down or moving over for tow trucks? Well, it's not just tow trucks. If a tow truck is pulled over servicing a vehicle at the side of the road with its amber lights flashing, or a police, fire, or emergency vehicle is pulled over doing the same thing, you fail to slow down and move over to the free lane if there is a free lane, or slow down considerably to safely pass them. I believe it's $490. Let's double check that. Is it $490? I want to say it's $490. Let's see if I remember that. I so rarely speak about it. Slow down. $490 and 3 demerit points. Upon approaching an emergency vehicle with its lamp producing intermittent flashes of red light or red and blue light, or a tow truck with its lamp producing intermittent flashes of amber light that is stopped on a highway, the driver of a vehicle traveling in the same side of the highway shall slow down and proceed with caution, having due regard for traffic on and the condition of the highway and the weather, to ensure that the driver does not collide with the emergency vehicle or tow truck or endanger any person outside of the emergency vehicle or tow truck. That's the short form wording for it. So yeah, you got to do it. How often does a cop show up to court for traffic violations? Every time, unless they're excused. And an excusal looks like I'm sick and I can't get out of bed, type I'm sick, calling it sick for work, or they're needed elsewhere. There's an emergency something's happened, they can't be cleared from what they're doing, so they're given an excusal by their sergeant not to attend. Otherwise, they're mandated. They must attend. In fact, if you don't attend, you get documented for not doing your job. So you can't just not show up. So that would suggest that it's most often that they do attend. Yeah. Everyone seems to think it's this big roulette wheel, and you roll the dice for your chance to not have the officer there. Yeah, it's not so random. We go to court, and now we can go to court by Zoom from home. So it's really not hard to show up. Oh, hot coffee. I brewed it at 4:45 this morning. It's still hot. Okay. Terry Locke says, in BC, there no enforcement in BC. I'm not in BC, thus can't comment about BC. Interesting. I don't have anything to say about that. Zach wants to know how often pursuits happen. I don't have stats on to specifically how often, but they do happen. Let's see here. Marky Mark wants to know about lane splitting. The answer is it's not legal. We talked about it a little while ago. If you go back to the replay, you can watch it on YouTube and actually catch the whole detail about that. Oh. Do I need to turn my signal on when I'm waiting in dedicated left turn lane? You are turning, you are signifying or signaling the fact that you are turning, and yes, you must signal your intent to turn. There's no, oh, I'm in the right lane or left lane, thus people know what I'm going to do. No, you got to signal your intention. $110 ticket for not signaling your intention. Okay. How is my golf game? I am not a golfer. I don't like golf. I very much believe in the description from a famous Canadian who has since comedian, not Canadian, who's since passed away. George. What the heck's George's last name? Why am I'm having a mental moment here. Carlin, George Carlin. George Carlin talks about golf, and that's how I feel about golf. I can't say what George Carlin talks about golf. You'll have to YouTube it because it's totally inappropriate, and for a family channel like this one. So go Google that, and you'll know exactly how I feel about golf. We talked about that. Let's see here. I really want the person who wants to continuously ask me about cutting off trucks to stop asking me about that because we've talked about it. Okay. Tint laws. We can talk about that. You can also talk about this. What should I do on the 401 when everyone else is speeding, but I'm not? Do what I do. Stay to the right. Do the speed limit in the right lane. And let all the speeders pass you. And for all the people who say it's not safe to do the speed limit on the 401, baloney. Stay to the right and let the speeders do whatever they're going to do because you can't control what other people do. But you cannot do what you want and use it as an excuse to speed. It doesn't cut the mustard. Second time I'm saying that today. Can't cut the mustard. Apparently I skipped a whole bunch of stuff. Scrolling back. Question is, I heard all 100-kilometer-an-hour highways are now 110. Desert Eagle heard that somewhere, but you heard wrong. Some highways are 110. You got to look for the signs. Some areas have been approved and are now permanent after having a pilot project, and they've approved certain areas, but not all. 401 in Toronto is still 100 kilometers an hour. Go by the signs. Don't make assumptions because you were given bad info. Let's see here. Okay, moving on. Good morning. What's the most important thing a teen with a G2 license should know? I can't distill that into one thing other than follow the law. I mean, that's the most important thing because there are so many conditions that a new driver needs to recognize and acknowledge that they are not an experienced driver. Doesn't matter how long they were driving with experienced drivers supervising them. They're now on their own. And driving is inherently dangerous. Oh, yes, I said it. It is dangerous to drive. It's dangerous to walk. It's dangerous out there. So you need to focus on safety. That means don't touch your phone, don't play with your infotainment system. Focus on getting to where you're going safely. That's the most important thing, while also maintaining all the rules. Zero alcohol, obviously, and zero drugs, also fairly obvious. And beyond that, focus on being safe and not getting somewhere. Leave yourself lots of time. I think that covers it. But there's tons that can go on forever. Driving safely doesn't matter what license you have. You should be doing the same thing safely with any license. What's this? When turning right at an intersection with the green bike lanes, can you cross into the bike area? The green bike lanes, the reason it's painted green is to signify to both cyclists and motorists that you're going to be interacting in the same space. It's a warning area to allow the cyclists know that cars are going to be entering that space and vice versa. So, yes, you can follow the hashtags. You can't drive down that lane. That's not its intention. The intention is to say, pay attention. Intention, attention, you know what I'm saying? Very quick moment. I want to discuss the magic of what? Of employment. Oh, yes. I need to do my little PSA about the fact that we're hiring. And if you go to www.tps.ca, I put it on the screen earlier, but I'll put it on the screen again. So www.tps.ca/careers, you will get this magical website where you see all these happy people, happy employed people. Guess why they're happy. You can get information on all the jobs you're interested in. Police constable tends to be the most popular. That's what everyone's talking about. We are the police after all. And information on that position can be found here. Scroll down, big old button about applying. Find out all the details of what you need to know before you put your application in to find out if it's even interesting to you. There's lots to know. But special constable, parking enforcement officer, other options within the police service. And those are the uniform positions that are paid. Then you have auxiliary officer, how I started, volunteer uniform position. And then, communications operator, non-uniform, working in a dispatch office, in our dispatch control. They're the people who take your calls when you're looking for help. And they're the people who also, on the other side of the house, dispatch police officers to come help you. Two halves of the same coin. They're magic, and they don't get enough love. But we, on occasion, hire those people. So if you want to be awesome, you can come join. Now, there are currently 4 jobs posted aside from the police constable role. Internal communications coordinator, that's in our corporate communications unit. Intermediate technical analyst in the AV area. Infrastructure, audio, video. Interesting. New position. I haven't seen that one. I'll have to read about that, see if I know anybody that I can send it out to, because that's what I do. That's what I do. I go through these positions and I think of all the people I know that would love to have an opportunity to work for an amazing organization like the Toronto Police Service. That's what I do. I go through and I send these to people. So you should do the same thing. If you have people that might qualify for one of these jobs, help them out. Communications operator, those magical people who take the calls, and dispatch police, we're hiring for that. And developer in the digital team, that rounds out the 4. And that's it. If you are interested, put an application in sooner rather than later, because once they're gone, they're gone. I mean that by there's an open posting date and then there's a closing date. And if you miss the boat, it will have sailed without you. All right. Going to try and catch up to where I was. Oh, some e-bike questions. What are the current legal rules and regulations for scooters in Toronto, Peel, and others allow it? So there's an Ontario rule, and we're talking e-kick scooters. I think that's what you're talking about. So if you go to TrafficCop.ca and you go to useful links at the bottom, you'll see all the rules for Toronto and the provincial rules, because it's a pilot project. Again, if we're talking about e-kick scooters, those electric stand-up scooters that are under a pilot project, allowing them to be operated in jurisdictions that have opted in. Toronto is not one of those jurisdictions. They're completely against the law in Toronto. But in places like Mississauga, for instance, they're legal. So you got to know before you go, and checking out the pilot is one way to go. Now, what are the rules? In order for it to be covered by the pilot, it cannot be capable of going more than 24 kilometers an hour, cannot have a motor larger than 500 watts, and cannot have a seat, cannot carry cargo. There's a bunch of stuff along those lines, and I see them all the time with multiple people stacked on there. Or I saw one video or photo of someone driving with a queen-size mattress on it. I mean, we're talking ridiculous. Put a seat on it, it's a motorcycle. Goes more than 24 kilometers an hour, it's a motor vehicle. It is absolutely illegal. A vehicle requiring license, ownership, and insurance, totally prohibited for the road. Yeah, electric unicycles are in the same boat. You can get serious charges for using those on the road. Now you're talking about e-bikes. E-bikes are different. 32 kilometers an hour, 500 watts, must have functioning pedals. Different type of vehicle. Can e-bikes be subject to fines related to condition and upkeep? Yes, they can. In fact, if the terminals are, let's see here, I can actually pull some of that stuff up. I can do it. We have the technology. E-bike. Can I do it that way? No. E-bike? Let's do it under this. No. Come on. Why am I in the wrong section? Maybe it's under electric. I said I have the technology and I can't find nothing. Can't find nothing. No. Come on. I gotta look it up another way. In fact, I'm not gonna look it up now. But battery terminals exposed, not being in good condition, still has to have all the parts and stuff related to keeping it safe. Reflectors, lights, things of that nature. Rider has to wear a helmet. Now, I want to circle back on that though, because for some reason the search on that magical app that I love so much is terrible because it's not fuzzy search. It's very, very, very linear in its functionality. All right. What is this? Well, OPP and MTO need to post commercials on TV to educate drivers about lane splitting. I'm here doing my part to tell people not to do it. You're absolutely right, though. They should do more. But who watches TV? Have you seen a commercial if it wasn't on Amazon Prime? They started putting commercials. Even Disney, I think, started putting commercials. I don't subscribe to that anymore, but still. Commercials are everywhere, but that's the only place you're going to see them because people are cord cutters. I don't know anybody who actually watches television anymore, not real television. In fact, I was on YouTube watching the news this weekend because everything was live there. And then it would, I see commercials on YouTube, mind you. Okay. We got here. This is in relation to the sideswipe. Was involved in a collision, and I did report it, but no damage. What should I do next? Well, if there's no damage and no one was injured, there is nothing to do next. No damage, no injury. It's arguable that it's not even a collision because for the Ministry of Transportation to qualify contact as a collision, it needs to have damage or injury. So there's really nothing else to do. If you've reported it, you're done. You don't get paid because they made contact with you. You get paid when you get hurt. If a car is never driven and simply for show, are illegal tints allowed? If you're towing it and it never hits the road, and then yeah, you can do whatever you want with it. It's not a street legal car anymore. Doesn't matter. You trailer it from place to place. What do we got here? Okay. What if they don't pull you over? What if it's just a stop in the middle of the road for an emergency? What? What if it's just a stop in the middle of the road for an emergency? Do you still put down the window? I'm confused by your question. Earlier, the question was, do you have to roll down the window in a traffic stop? Now you're saying, what if it's just a stop in the middle of the road for an emergency? Why would you open a window if you're pulling over for an emergency vehicle? That's not a traffic stop. So no, you don't need to pull down the window. If you're being pulled over by a police officer, you're being approached by a police officer, yeah, you got to pull down the window. My dead dad is the owner of my car. Can I park illegally and have the tickets go to a dead guy? Well, that's creative, and you're the estate is the owner. The estate would be the one getting the ticket, not just the guy who's deceased, but the estate. Yeah, I don't know. You need to eventually. There's a period of time when he can no longer own that car and it needs to be transferred. But I don't have the details on that. I've talked about it once before, but I don't remember what it is. Tracy says, what are you even going on about? They're just talking to talk. Okay. My question Okay, lots of questions on that. We talked about it already. Moving on. General Jez says it doesn't mean cops don't break the law. Well, cops have a lot of exemptions within the law. Like, for instance, it's not legal for you to carry a firearm, but it is legal for us to carry a firearm. We're allowed to go through a red light given certain circumstances. You're not allowed to. So there's laws that are there for you that do not apply to us, but there's conditions for their use. So I don't know what you mean, but I'd love to know what you mean. So break it down for me. Okay. If you break a window for a child or an animal, but the AC is on, what happens? Well, first off, chance to don't break windows. That is generally a bad idea. If there's signs of distress, that's why you're breaking the window. You better be on the phone with police and talking to a dispatcher while you're doing it, because ideally you don't have the authority to do it. Although if you're justified or directed by a police officer or a dispatcher, that's different. You're taking direction from the dispatchers, and frankly, when the dispatcher gives you direction, it's like getting a direction from the chief. So yeah, don't just do things willy-nilly because you think it's the right thing to do, because you're going to be absolutely liable. Now, why someone leaves a child in a car unattended is an entirely different question, and also needs to be investigated by a police officer. So it's a 911 call, but taking action, you better have substantial grounds to justify breaking that window. And by grounds, it means you can say that that person was in distress, not just, licking the window, looking at you as the dog, can't breathe, having issues. It's medical emergency. Unresponsive, not sleeping. There's a difference. Are cops allowed to punch my window if I don't put it down immediately? It sounds like you play games. I don't like, roll down the window. Like, don't play games. Could they punch the window? They can smash that window and drag you out of the car at a certain point, all based on how they articulate the situation. And that happens. So I suggest you take direction, follow direction. If you don't like the outcomes, you can always complain. Okay. What do we got here? Boom, boom, boom. All right. Officer, if I go through an intersection while red and a vehicle turning left, you go through an intersection while red, so you run a red light, and the vehicle turning left turn, who's at fault? Both of you. You're at fault for running a red light. They're at fault for turning when it wasn't safe. They both have both of you have a responsibility to do your jobs, which is drive safely. They have to make sure they can complete their turn in safety, and that means more than assuming you're going to stop. But you're also absolutely responsible for running the red light. If I put bigger wheels in my car and it's taller now, can I lower the suspension? That sounds like a mess of taking cars that were designed with millions of dollars of R&D only for you to mess with it. It depends, because your combination of bigger wheels and lower suspension might create contact between wheels and body, and that's a bad thing. It could, any body rub with tire or frame rub with tire, that's an unsafe motor vehicle. We would take your plates and take you off the road. Okay. What we got here? Gerald says, great job. Keep up the good work. And then Zach asks again, how often do pursuits happen in Toronto? Addressed that earlier, even though they keep asking. I don't know. They happen when people fail to stop. But I don't keep stats on that. How illegal is it for someone to ride their BMX in downtown Toronto with no helmet and no brakes? Well, brakes are required for a bicycle. That's a problem. But no helmet. If they're 18, they don't have to wear a helmet, even though it's silly not to wear a helmet. Not required. Northern Pike had a question that just bumped out of the chat. Okay. So I missed it. I missed what they asked. Oh, scrolling back. Things are coming in fast. Hank the pilot, what's going on? I just saw your name pop up. Mark, thanks for reminding everyone. Questions need to start with letter Q. It makes it easier for us to identify it as a question. Okay. I have 20% tints. Will I ever be pulled over for it? Depends on what window. If you have it on your windshield, yeah, you would and should be pulled over for it. If you have 20% tints, and let me rephrase, 20% tint should mean that you have 80% of the light coming through. It's a very light tint. If you mean that 20% of the light is getting through and 80% is tinted, then your vehicle is unsafe. We should pull your plates. You shouldn't be allowed to drive on the road with that car. So yeah. What's this? My brand new phone was stolen. Yeah, I don't buy that. Okay, they're alleging that a police officer stole their cell phone. I don't think so. But put in a report if that happened. If that legitimately happened, report it, because obviously that police officer shouldn't be a police officer. What is this? American visiting Canada or something about that. Nathan says, good morning. Good morning to you. Why can you do 50 kilometers in a 50 zone? Like, depends on the zone. If it's rated or the law says you can do 50, you can do 50. If the law says you can do 30, you can do 30. I don't understand your question. Yet nobody listens to the laws in this province. Many people don't listen to laws of any kind. It's a problem. Question. Are electric cars or Teslas allowed to drive in the HOV lane? Lately, we've seen a lot of Teslas. So, yeah, if a Tesla has a green plate on it, if they change it to custom plate, they lose their privilege. But if they have green plates, electric vehicles can ride solo in the HOV lanes. Absolutely correct. I saw a car driving the wrong sides of traffic on QEW. Speeds were slow. What's the charge? They were driving into oncoming traffic on the highway. There's so many charges. Like, were they backing up to help somebody, or are they driving head on into traffic? I mean, there's a ton of stuff. Liz says, I've driven on the double yellow line before. Zero oncoming traffic, gave room to a stopped TPS car. I was fine, but not the car behind me who changed lanes last second and almost hit the TPS. Yeah, safety is the primary focus. You can drive left of center, to make a left turn, to pass. These are things that are permitted. You got to be smart about it. Okay. What's this one? I know there's tint laws, but in my town, OPP doesn't care about it. What's the charge for it? $110 if it's just for slightly dark, can't see inside, can't identify the driver. If it's really way too dark, it's unsafe motor vehicle, lose your plates, get a safety to reapply for plates again. Can't have anything on your windshield. And let's have a look, because I got 26 pinned questions. Okay, covered that. I'm reading quick. Okay. I was doing Uber Eats in Toronto and some cyclist broke my mirror by kicking it. Can I stop him? No, you can report them, but they don't have a license plate, unfortunately. And this is one of those wonderful things where you can't necessarily identify. You can't chase them down and jump on them. That wouldn't be appropriate. You can make a best description to police, but frankly, you're going to be replacing it under your insurance or out of your pocket. But making a report makes sense because they may get pulled over, they may crash up ahead. The police might be able to identify them based on that report you make later. Okay. I got to tell this person I'm live streaming. Is it normal for motorcycles to overheat when stopped on a hot day? Depending, like air-cooled bikes can get real hot. It takes a lot for them to actually stop functioning. They're just uncomfortable. Like police Harleys. They're air-cooled bikes. They get hotter than heck. And they don't necessarily just overheat and stop. So It's not a normal thing. And many motorcycles are liquid cooled or oil filled, like the oil coolers. Like there's different ways to deal with it. Okay, we covered this. Do I have to move to the right if I'm doing posted speed limit? Yeah. If you're if I know that it defies logic in that the fastest anyone can legally do is the speed limit. And for the dum-dums that are going faster, they expect you to get out of the way, or they're going to pass you on the right. They're going to cause a collision based on their stupidity. So, in the interest of safety, stay to the right. You're going the speed limit, and if that's the slowest car on the road, stay to the right. There's no reason you need to occupy the left lane, especially if people are passing you and you're becoming the problem. Now, I believe that all of the people speeding need to be stopped and charged. And you doing the right thing are doing the right thing, and I applaud you for it. But do the absolute right thing and stay out of their way, because we like to be able to stop them rather than investigate the collision they caused trying to pass you. Oh, interesting question. Can you operate motor vehicles under the influence on private property? Under the influence, they mean by alcohol or drugs? The answer is no. You're not permitted to be under the influence of alcohol or drugs while operating a motor vehicle anywhere in Canada, private property or otherwise. Now, that includes golf carts, electric scooters, e-bikes, skateboards powered by electricity. Those are all motor vehicles under the Criminal Code of Canada. So the answer is you may not operate those. Want to be on a pedal bike? Have at it. Let's see here. Regarding speed limit on the 400 series, I see people driving past 120, 140. Is this normal? Sadly, it is. It is. It's not legal, but it's normal. I see people doing 120 to 140 all the time. They're passing me like I'm not moving because I do the speed limit. And the sad truth is we don't have enough officers to stop everybody all the time. It's one of the reasons I personally advocate or believe there should be automated enforcement on every road. No one should be allowed to get away with that. They're putting lives at risk being dum-dums. Let's see here. Why do cops pull you over for one thing and then start fishing for other tickets? Well, we investigate everybody. So we pull you over for the reason we pulled you over, but then we do an investigation because we're doing our jobs. When there's one thing, there's usually another. It's not a matter of only being caught red-handed for one thing. We investigate. The person who does one thing is probably breaking other rules, like driving with no insurance, driving without a license, driving under the influence. We look at everything. We evaluate everything, and then we charge you for everything. Or at very least, document and warn for some things. Okay. Which traffic violations suffer an increased penalty due to having children in the car? I don't think any of them do. I don't think any of them, other than, for instance, smoking inside of your motor vehicle, a personal vehicle, if you have a passenger under the age of 16, is a charge where it isn't otherwise. Driving with a passenger improperly secured into a child safety restraint is a charge, obviously child dependent. But I'm not aware of any charge that hinges on the presence of a child. And I might be wrong. There might be some. I'm not aware of any. Do you as a cop care about people drifting donuts, empty gravel, or snowy parking lots? It's illegal. I mean, I don't really care on private property. But if it's not your parking lot, I would have issue with that. Now, I'm not on the road anymore. This law came into place after I went off the road. I've never had cause to enforce this because, again, I've been off the road since this law has come into play where private property was now in play. But if you're doing this stuff on the road, I absolutely have a problem with it. And I get that people are confused about, learning how to drive in snow. You don't need to drift and do dumb stuff on private property to be a better driver. Take a course. Learn how to drive. Take an advanced driving course. Go to a racetrack. Like racetracks, for example, that's the only place you can actually do it. Hello, sir. Can a friend drive my car even though he's not under my insurance? If he's a licensed driver and you're giving them permission and your vehicle is insured, then yes, they are able to do that. Unless, well, from a legal perspective, the police don't have a problem with it, but your insurance might have a problem with it if they're listed or specifically not permitted. Like you may have a policy that says anyone under the age of 25, they cannot operate your car. That's a problem with you and the insurance to take up in the event of a collision. Legally, if they're licensed, they can drive it. Let's see here. If someone begins road raging and threatens your life, how do you react? Well, this is where you hope you have a dash cam because it's great evidence when you call police and report them. But you disengage. You don't get involved with increasing the issue, escalating the conflict. You drive to the closest police station. You get off the road and not stop where they can come find you. You keep driving to a place of safety, a well-lit area, or preferably a police station. And again, if you have dash cam, it's a great thing to lay charges or have charges laid afterwards. Is tinting your headlights against the law? Absolutely against the law, actually. Yellow or white light, that's it. That's all you can have. Oh, okay. Let's see here. Talked about the road ragers. A cop threatened to give me failure to show insurance while I was looking for it. Is that legal? If I make a demand for your license, ownership, and insurance, I don't have to sit there for 3 weeks while you search every cavity in your vehicle to find it. You should know where your documents are. And frankly, if I give you a minute to look for it, I'm writing you the ticket after that. If you can't find it in a minute, maybe 2, at that point, you failed to surrender upon demand, and I'm just going to issue the ticket. If I come back to serve you the ticket and you found it, I might accept that. But I'm not hanging out for the day for you to dig through your paperwork. Have your stuff in order. Be responsible. A cop tried to force me to use a tow truck they called onto the scene. Isn't that illegal? If we are moving you off the road, you're involved in a collision and you're blocking the road, and we need to clear that road for safety, we can direct you to take any tow truck, whatever's on scene, whether it be contract that we called or the closest one that we see. We need to clear that road for the safety of all, and yeah, we can direct you to take a tow truck, and you don't get to say, I'm waiting for my favorite tow truck friend. Not illegal. I have a European driver's license. Can I use it in Canada? If you are visiting as a visitor status to Canada and to Ontario, then yes, for a period of time, you can use your foreign license. If you are now a resident of Ontario, a resident for 60 days, you are no longer allowed to use your foreign license. And if you've applied at any time for an Ontario license, even if you left and come back, if you have an Ontario license, you don't get to use anything but your Ontario license. What level of road rage is worthy of calling 911? Well, I think, Kate, the big question is, what do you consider road rage? Is honking your horn and waving your arm road rage? Or is someone, moving their vehicle in such a way as to push you off the road even though they haven't made contact? Here's the thing. 911 is when you feel unsafe, whether the safety of yourself or the safety of others is in jeopardy. And if you think that someone is no longer in control, because road rage is a point emotionally when they're no longer in control of their faculties. They are not doing logical, normal things. As a driver, they're unsafe. They're putting lives at risk. That's a 911 call. Are bicycles allowed on the road? Bicycles are, in fact, not only allowed on the road, not allowed on the sidewalk. So, yeah, they are. I heard it was legal to reverse without a seatbelt. Do you know how true this is? It is true. When you're reversing, you're not required to have your seatbelt on. Now, granted, the proper way to reverse is without your dash cam, where you're actually off the driver's seat, pivoting around, looking out the back window. And to do that, you can't be wearing a seatbelt. There's other exemptions for when you're, if you're a clearly a delivery person, a courier, and you're traveling less than 40 kilometers an hour, making frequent stops, actively in the game of delivery, you don't have to wear a seatbelt. If you're a taxi driver with a passenger, don't need to wear a seatbelt. There's a bunch of different ones. Monty Schwing wants to know if we have a quota. We do not. I think it's funny that people really think we do. We don't get commission. We don't get a free toaster for doing anything. We don't get in trouble if we don't write any tickets. but we have to be working. So what does that really mean? It means I go out and I sit at Tim Hortons and I pick my nose. That is not working. That would constitute an investigation, because you'd be coming back at the end of the day with no reports and no tickets. You have to justify what you're doing. You have to be doing something. And hanging out at Timmy's isn't it. But I can tell you that in Toronto, not only do we not have quotas, we don't have any free time. Because as soon as you're marked clear, you're assigned to another call. And if you are someone who's specifically assigned to do traffic enforcement, there are a gazillion offenses being committed everywhere, all the time. And you need only look at the road for a moment in order to find one. So having a quota to fill would not be hard to fill if we had a quota, but there is none. We just need to be working. That's it. Now, people get all upset because if people have quotas, then they're looking for tickets, minor tickets, just to fill those quotas. People are breaking laws. It's a ticket. People are putting lives in jeopardy. It's a ticket. Whether I write it for 10 over, 15 over, 20 over, they're all valid tickets. Don't break the law. You won't get a ticket. Am I allowed to sip coffee while driving? Yes. I mean, if it becomes a problem and you're no longer able to safely operate your motor vehicle, it's a problem. If could you be carelessly driving because of your coffee? It's possible, but it's not specifically illegal. Can you get a ticket for running a private property stop sign? No. The only time it would be is TTC has specific legislation covering the TTC. They may be enforceable on their private property, but generally speaking, not on a mall parking lot. There's no charge that would be enforceable. In fact, stunt driving is one of the only charges you can lay on private property. Criminal dangerous, obviously you can. What's the best way to deal with a driver who's constantly throwing garbage out of their window? Best way for me or best way for you? You could always make a report about someone doing that. For me, I pulled them over and charged them with littering on the highway. And I've done that. I actually had a guy, I was set up on a stop sign in 12th Division. I watched a guy with a cell phone on, like in his hand, not wearing a seatbelt, throw a cigarette butt out the window while he ran the stop sign. He got a ticket for littering, cell phone, seatbelt, and stop sign. Cell phone, littering, stop sign. Yeah, he got all the tickets. Clear as day and on video. It was perfect. It was beautiful. Reliving the memory. Okay. It's one of my favorite ones. Okay. Let's see here. Carl Johnson says, I'm an international student. Can I join parking enforcement after completion of my studies, as it doesn't require PR or citizenship? Bingo right there. It doesn't require PR or citizenship. If you've got the lawful opportunity or you're legally permitted to work, you can work as long as you're permitted to work. Let's see here. What if a cop pulls me over and I just realize I forgot my driver's license at home? You can get a ticket, $110. You're required to have and surrender your license. And if you don't have it, it's a $110 ticket. Does it mean you're going to get a ticket? No. Police have discretion. They could say, I get it, stuff happens. Do better next time. They could issue a printed warning. They could give you a verbal warning. It doesn't have to result in the ticket. Here's the big thing. You better be actually licensed, because we look that up. If you're not licensed, there's additional charges. But, be open and honest. That's the big thing. If my license is suspended and the officer sees that, is he able to see the reason of the suspension? Yes. I mean, medical suspension might be the specific reason. Unpaid fines would be a reason. So yes, we can see those things, because it also changes how we operate. We don't impound vehicles for medical suspension or for unpaid fines, where we do impound vehicles for other suspensions. Or at least tow. I know the exemption where we don't, but I'm trying to think of the one we do. Yeah. Big question, sir. When pedestrian signs flash, do you need to stop or yield? Well, so if the pedestrian sign is flashing and there's pedestrians lawfully on the road, you have to yield to those pedestrians. You have to stop. You can't just squeeze by them. They have the right of way. You have to yield. The charge is fail to yield to pedestrian. So if there's a pedestrian present crossing, or there's a crossing guard on the road, you have to stop. And if the pedestrian, crossing guard is there, you have to stop and wait until all persons are off the road, not just the pedestrian crossing, and not just your half. Regular crosswalk, it's your half. Otherwise, it's the full road. Let's see here. What is an OACP certificate? OACP is the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police. It's a certificate that you get after you successfully complete some testing, and it's a requirement for most police jobs. How long can someone drive on an international license? International license isn't a license. That is a translation card to go with a foreign license from your home country. And it depends on your status in Ontario. Are you a visitor or are you a resident? The moment you're a resident, you have 60 days. And once you apply for a license in Ontario, you instantly cannot drive on that foreign license anymore. So let's say it's 60 days is the limit. At 59 days, you apply for a G1. The moment you apply for your G1 and it's issued, you are a G1 driver in Ontario, and your foreign license means absolutely nothing. If you do that on the first of your 60 days, you don't have 60 days anymore. You have a G1 license, and you must conform to all the conditions of your G1 license. Mike wants to know, can you have your license taken away if you have early signs of MS? Here's the deal. You would be eligible if your doctor told you not to drive or submitted a medical suspension. They could take away your license for anything that a medical doctor determines you're not eligible to drive anymore, that it's unsafe. Early signs may not require you to not drive. I'm not a medical doctor. I couldn't say. But if the doctor says you can't drive and issues that medical suspension, you are suspended. If the doctor suggests you don't drive, I guarantee you it's going to be written down in their notes. And at that point, if you were involved in a collision and an investigation were to take place and medical records were requested, we would see that you were not supposed to be driving based on medical recommendation, and that could put you more at fault. So be very careful. Just whatever the doctor says, I would be following that direction. And it's not fun. I feel you. I feel that it's hard to have a privilege like that taken away. So if you want to talk more about it, you can always send me a message by way of TrafficCop.ca. Okay, I got some dad jokes. Awesome. Akela sent them some dad jokes and a quote. And Charles Swachuk says, did I say Swachuk? No, Sawchuk, sorry. Put a W in the wrong place. What's the difference between a G2 and a G license? The biggest thing is that a G2 cannot be renewed without taking another G2 examination. You have to test again. A G license can be renewed by simply renewing. Up until a certain point where you're aging out, you need to do testing again when you're elderly. But G2 license also has a 0 BAC requirement, 0 blood alcohol content, 0 drugs. In the first year, a G2 has conditions as to how many people under the age of 20 can be in your vehicle between midnight and 5 a.m. That doesn't exist in G. Just for the 0 blood alcohol content, in order to have more than 0, you must be 22 years old, and you still have to be below the 0.05 to be able to legally drive. However, you could still be impaired, which is confusing for most. Anyway, the biggest difference is you can simply renew with a G-class license by paying your fees, whereas a G2 cannot. They have to test again. Okay. Is it law to drive a motorcycle with a helmet? I see individuals on the road that done wear. There is an exemption in a couple of provinces, Ontario being one of them, that allows Sikh practicing members of the Sikh faith to not wear a helmet. Everyone else must wear a helmet. It is a requirement. It makes sense. Saving your brain is kind of important. Carly Vieira says, what if, no, it's question. I don't even know what the W stands for. If someone is driving completed intoxicated, what info is needed to call in? Oh, if you see an impaired driver, call it in. You call it in, license plate, direction of travel, description of vehicle, signs that make you believe that the vehicle is being operated by someone who may be under the influence of alcohol or drugs. You want to give as much information as possible and stay on the line and stay back. You don't want to be too close because that vehicle could become a hazard to you. We're assuming it's a hazard to everyone. Keep your distance, but you want direction of travel, description of vehicle, license plate, because what's going to happen is we're going to look it up and we say, oh, they live around the corner. We know basically where they're going, and that might help us, find them. If for whatever reason they may tell you to stop following them, that's okay too. Follow the direction of a dispatcher. That's the most important. The most. All right, I'm going to see if there's anything else cooking here. I need some Curfy. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. And some discussion about the permission to not wear a helmet. Yes, a turban would have to be worn. That's the reason there's an exemption, is because they have to wear a turban, so they can't wear the helmet. Absolutely. Okay. David says, stay safe, Sean. A former Barton Street guard. Right on. Stay safe, David. Not sure what that person's talking about. What happens if an officer reports an incident but puts the wrong plate number? You mean like on a ticket, issues a ticket but puts the incorrect license plate onto the ticket? If all the other evidence captured within the ticket is correct, they might be able to amend it in court. Doesn't mean an absolute dismissal of the charge. It's possible. You'd have to make an application to have it dismissed. They would make an application to have it amended. Charles says, thank you, Sean. I appreciate you taking the time to answer that for me. You're very welcome, Charles. Anytime. Liz says, I've had MS for over 20 years and I'm fine to drive. Each person's situation is different. Check with your MS neurologist. That is the best answer. Thank you, Liz, for sharing. Okay. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Ben says, I have to go to work. No, I have to go work in GTA and live there weekdays for 3 months. I have QC driving permit. What to do? So you're temporarily working here during the week, but your residence is that of in Quebec, and you're driving back and forth. You're not a resident. You're a visitor. You're not foregoing your primary residence. You're not moving here permanently. If you were to move here permanently for 3 months, I would argue that you would need to change it. But that's not what your situation is. You're here for work. You're up in a hotel. You're a visitor. Okay. Not sure. Some of these conversations are very interesting, but not involving me. All right. Okay. I'm driving for 5 in my home country. Is possible for me to acquire a full G after passing G? 5 years. Here's the deal. If you're coming here from another country and you have driving experience, you take that experience and you show it to the ministry. If you're coming from England, if you're coming from a number of countries, they will do a full trade license for license. If you have a full license there, you get a full license here. If you're on the list of countries that we do that with. Many others get credit for your driving experience, but you still have to test because they're not similar enough or they don't have an agreement. So you get the credit. You don't have to do the graduated wait, where you don't wait the 1 year, then and 2 years, one for G1 and one for G2. You might be able to do all the tests right away and get a full license. So it depends. I can't give you a specific because I don't know enough about you. Even then, I don't necessarily know enough about whether or not they'll give you or what they consider acceptable. They'd like me to arrest them in BC. I can't arrest you in BC. I'm not in BC. And if I was in BC, I wouldn't be a police officer in BC. I have privileges as a police officer in the province of Ontario. As soon as I leave the province of Ontario, I'm a civilian. Mind you, I have powers of arrest that a civilian has, citizens' powers of arrest. That's what everyone has. So I guess depending on what you're doing, I could arrest you. Why do you want to be arrested? Okay. Scrolling. Damon wants Trump for Canadians. Interesting. What's the rules on electric scooters? Check out the website, ASKaTrafficCop.ca. I got links at the bottom. We talked about it earlier, and details are found there. I'm not going to talk about it again because we've talked about it already today. Okay. G1 drivers, what is this? Can G1 drivers drive on any Transit Canada highway at all or major highways full G2 adult with? No, Cody. Hang on a second. You got it all wrong here, man. A G2 cannot supervise a G1. That is like the basic of G1. You need a G-class driver with 4 years experience to supervise a G1. G2 doesn't cut it. Not even close. I would charge the G1 driver for driving anywhere with a G2 supervising them because they're unaccompanied by a qualified driver. Now, you said on any Transit Canada highways and all major highways. They can't be on any highway with a speed limit over 80. G1s, even with a G2 doesn't count. Even with a G-class qualified supervising driver, they cannot be on any controlled access highway, any highway with an 80 kilometer an hour or over 80 kilometers an hour speed limit. They need to be with a professional driving instructor to be on an expressway. Cody wants to know about rules on underglow and rock lights. It depends on how they're installed. There's no specific law for or against. But if you're projecting anything other than white or yellow to the front, anything other than yellow or red to the back, you're violating the law. I would suggest mounting those way high in the undercarriage of the vehicle so you're only, faintly illuminating the road and not truly projecting light outward. Now, Sergeant Campbell will say that if he sees the light, he's going to charge you. I say if I see the bulb, I'm going to charge you. So we have different levels of how we interpret and how we enforce it. Can motorcycle pass on the right if staying on the roadway? You're still lane splitting, so no, that's not safe. You are behind the vehicle. There's only one vehicle per lane, right? Can't squeeze in between. So no, you can't be doing that. But it depends on the officer observing it. One officer may not have a problem with it, and the other officer might write you up for careless driving. Or pass on right, because you're not on the shoulder. There's very specific times that passing on right is legal. Zipping between within the same space that a car is supposed to occupy, not one of those. Okay. Can an officer give 3 speeding tickets for one traffic stop? I'm not sure how they give 3 speeding tickets because 3 speeding tickets, like, how many times do they observe you speeding? If they observed you speeding in one location, followed you, and you continued speeding in another location, and then finally they measured you a third time and you were still speeding, I guess they could. I can't imagine how bad of a driver you'd have to be able to qualify for 3 separate speeding tickets. But 3 tickets that are unrelated, like a ticket for speeding, license plate, driver's license, failing to signal, unsafe, like then you could have 100 tickets. Absolutely, you can just rack them up. But 3 speeding tickets, I'd like to know more about what happened. It sounds interesting. Does the ownership of your car expire? Yeah, your vehicle permit is renewed on a regular basis. If you have like the ownership portion, does it stop being the ownership? There's an ownership portion and a plate portion. The ownership portion, it's the registration of the vehicle. It's yours. You don't expire the ownership. It's yours. The plate portion, however, is what expires. And it now renews automatically. However, if you have unpaid fines or some reason preventing it from renewing automatically, you will be in expired status. Your plates will no longer be valid. How long does it take to go through the entirety of the motorcycle license? Like read the book? That's very personal. Depends on you. How long does it take to get the license? I mean, you get your learner's permit. Things were different when I got it. I had it like the next day. But now you need to have your course which it can move things along a little faster for you, from my understanding. I don't know if it accelerates at all for you have to wait 30 days, I think, before you can go from an M1 to an M2. Anyone who's watching, is it 30 days? I think it's 30 days. Thanks to Emma and Tracy, who've been jumping in, answering questions in the chat. Kath says, I just came back from a bunch of driving in Newfoundland, speed limit 100, everyone drives 100, 105. So in Newfoundland, they actually follow the rules or thereabouts. 5 kilometers over is really pretty good. Not like Ontario, where they do 30 or 40 over the limit or more. If the government were to drastically increase highway traffic fines, do you think that would help improve driving? Yeah, I think so. I think if they also took everyone's cars away when they violated the rules and impounded them, and they had serious impacts to their life because they can't drive, I think that would possibly change things. I think if they didn't think it was so easy to get away with it, they would change behavior. I think people take risks because they believe they can get away with it. And if they couldn't get away with it, or if there was enough of a track record of people getting hit with tickets, that they would think twice. I think. I don't know. On motorcycle, do I need blinkers or hand signals enough? During the day, hand signals are plenty. Does the vehicle require them for safety? Yeah. Do you have to use them? You could signal with your hands. I think that blinkers are a pretty good invention that really help you not get seriously injured based on telegraphing what you're going to do well before you do it, because we know that your arm sticking out doesn't necessarily get seen, and then you get smoked, and that bad day at the office. Okay. It is 1 minute to 11:30. I've gone 30 minutes longer than I had originally planned to, and that's because I love answering these questions. I really do appreciate you asking them, and I want to help everybody out. I'm going to look at a couple of flagged questions from the moderator, and then we're going to read the dad jokes, and then we're going to go. Okay, we covered this one already. Talked about this one. Do I need to bring inside the car the original registration and not a photocopy? Actually, your registration document, the ownership document, can be a photocopy of both sides of the document. That's legal. It's called a true copy. Both sides of the document, you don't need to carry originals. In fact, we tell you not to carry the originals because someone, if you leave them in your vehicle, could take those originals, sign the document pretending to be you, sell your car. But I'm actually of the opinion you shouldn't leave anything in your vehicle that has your address on it at all, because people breaking into your car shouldn't know where you live. So I carry my ownership document in my wallet. And if you don't have a wallet, other modes of carrying stuff work too. But don't leave it in your car. And never leave your driver's license. I can't tell you how many people have told me that they leave their driver's license in their car because they're too lazy to carry it on their person. Identity theft is a real thing. Leaving an actual factual document like that, not good. Can I have my front license plate displayed on the front windshield? Nope, that's a $110 fine. Not legal. Put it in the place it's supposed to be, or put it in a tow hook adapter, but not behind the windshield. Front of the vehicle does not mean facing front from halfway through the vehicle. Is it true that traffic officers are not allowed to reduce speeding tickets on scene? That's not at all true. We don't have to lay charges, and we don't have to lay the full charge. We can absolutely, in fact, there's a specific box in our system that says actual speed and charge speed. So we can say that you were doing 100 because that's what we measured you at, and then we can say that we're giving you a 15-kilometer reduction because we're being nice. Do we need to do it? I don't do that. I stopped doing that after some experiences on the road, which I actually shared on TikTok over the weekend. Reductions, people you would think would just take responsibility, say thank you for the reduction, and move on, not wasting the court's time, but they still do. So I stopped reducing tickets because it was a waste of my time to do the reduction, and they went to fight that in court anyway. So might as well fight from the starting point as opposed to the reduction point. There you go. Is it worth fighting a red light of traffic offense? That's only something you can answer. Listen, if you broke the law and you're taking responsibility, you can choose to pay it. You can choose to fight it. Your right is to fight it. But when you fight it, what exactly are you going to use as a defense? Were you not there? Was it somebody else? What excuse justifies and defends your position? Usually not much. Like, we don't write tickets to people who don't break the law. If you have credible evidence, bring it. You got a dash cam that says you didn't do it, but it needs to be something substantial. I mean, I'm not trying to dissuade you from fighting when you have a right to fight. I'm trying to dissuade you from wasting taxpayer money because you don't want to be held accountable for the thing you did. So it depends. Is it worth it? It's going to affect your insurance. It's going to affect your license if it's not a red light camera. Red light cameras are just monetary. They don't have an impact on your license, but it does it does impact your pocketbook. And there's photo evidence, which is hard to dispute. Problem Child wants to know what we're doing about cars stolen in the city. We try and catch the bad guys who steal them. In terms of preventing them from being stolen, you shut down the network of people who are just trying to steal them. That's generally where we operate. In terms of making your vehicle less attractive to thieves, that's up to you. You have a part to play in theft reduction. Well-lit areas, alarm systems, putting a block or a club type product across your steering wheel. Make your vehicle less attractive to steal. The responsibility is still on you for the reduction part. Other than, we try and disassemble those troops of bad people who prey on the good people of our cities and our communities. Liz says, thank you for the extra 30 minutes this morning. You're awesome. Well, you're very welcome. And, I've been away for a while, so I know. Well, okay, let's be honest. I always talk more than I'm supposed to. So I do an hour with all the best of intentions to do an hour, and I'm very quickly into an hour and a half. It's the 2 hours that I'm really trying to avoid, because I can do that too if left unchecked. All right, quote from Michaela. Do what you love what you do, and deliver more than you promise. Harvey McKay. I think that's a great quote. I didn't think it was going that direction. I thought it was going to be something else, but that's an excellent way to play. Okay, dad joke. Let me get rid of over the buttons. It's either going to be and that's a not so good, or it's really good. So we got. I have a fear of overly intricate buildings. I call it my complex. You get it? Fear of overly intricate buildings. Complex. Like it a lot. Okay. With that one done. What do Jedi Knights like in their drinks? Just ice. I don't get it. It's just me. It's my failing. Was it just this or just ice? There's so many ways. Either way, it fell. It didn't fly. It didn't fly. I didn't get it. Yeah. and moderator doesn't get it either. Akela, it's likely our fail, not yours, but that's it. That's the story. Okay, that's a wrap. Just a reminder that we will be downloading and then re-uploading this as a podcast, and you can get that particular file by going and subscribing to us wherever your favorite podcasts, like ours, is available. So you go to Apple Podcasts or iHeart Podcasts or Spotify. In fact, Spotify even has a video version available. It's a thing. And Jack, you're very welcome. I see Jack saying thanks. And we have a couple of things. Thanks and bye. Yes, Emma says bye. So that's it. That's all. We will talk at you soon. Just because I can do it, I'm going to play the video that I haven't played in a while. Well, I'm so tempted to play the TPS Traffic Jam episode with the military. Maybe I will do that. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to play first the recruiting video. And then, because I can, I'm going to play a 20-minute recording of me talking with Aaron Dale. He's a police constable, and he has created the most amazing program to help military veterans who need help. It's the Military Veterans Wellness Program. So first, I'm going to play this little ad. Then we're going to transition to the deal with Military Veterans Wellness Program.
Your future career starts with a vision. A vision of opportunities ahead, where you can see a path to a noble career, serving the city of Toronto. Where do you see yourself? Toronto Police Service. Apply today.
I love that video. It reminds me of the James Earl Jones video that was done for the NYPD. Just awesome. This is the coolest job in the world. And I'm so thankful and privileged to be able to work and represent the Toronto Police Service. This is awesome. So if you're interested in a job with the Toronto Police Service, if you want to serve your community, come join. Because we're looking for good people who want to do good things and help others. Now, as promised, I am going to play the episode of TPS Traffic Jam. It runs for about 24, call it almost 25 minutes. I'll let it play. When it's done, it's done. I won't be back. But I hope you have a wonderful day. We will be back tomorrow. But come Wednesday, we're going to be setting up for Honda Indy. So it's only today and tomorrow for live streams in the studio. I will be at Honda Indy Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll be live streaming from there a lot. If you can come down on Friday, that'd be awesome. All right. With no further ado.
So leaving the military was very hard for me because I was in CSOR, the Canadian Special Operations Regiment. I was an operator, and my whole platoon was going to Iraq, and I was coming to Toronto Police. And so I felt like a lot of disconnect from not doing that. And I started, and it took me a while to find my passion and what was going to motivate me, like being an operator did. And I feel like this program's actually helped save my life because it gave me like a perfect platform to give back and to really like get into and dive headfirst into. So I think this program's helped me a lot, to be quite honest with you.
Welcome to another episode of TPS Traffic Jam. I'm Sean Shapiro, but you knew that already. Joining me in studio is Aaron Dale, police constable with the Toronto Police Service. And you're more than that because you have quite a history and you've created something pretty amazing. Tell everybody about it.
Yeah, so hey everybody, Sean, thanks for bringing me on the show.
Pleasure.
I've been watching it for a while, and I'm trying to get some tips and tricks to apply to what I do every day. But yeah, I designed the Military Veterans Wellness Program with another police constable, Jeremy Burns. We were both military veterans that started with policing in 2018, and we came to policing brand new. I left the Army pretty much a couple days before I started with Toronto Police. We went on our training, and Burns helped me with my transition because it was a little challenging for me, and he had transitioned from the military a few years earlier. We both got badged, passed our police school in late 2018, and then in early 2019, the both of us started recognizing military veterans that were essentially suicidal or homeless in Toronto, and we just started building this program so police could better interact with suicidal homeless veterans or veterans that were in crisis.
And that's a big deal. I don't think people really understand, that you see a lot, you do a lot when you're deployed. And I'm not military. I've been with the police service for 24 years, but everything that I've come to learn, whether it be through movies and training, like there's a lot going on. You carry a lot. And police also carry things differently from their experiences. But it's amazing that you've been able to create what you've created, which is a way of helping people that is a first in Canada.
Yeah, so we kind of recognized a gap in service delivery. So when I left Special Operations in 2018, I had some personal challenges and I needed help. So through peer support and through Jeremy kind of pushing me into therapy and stuff, I went and got a lot of help from Veterans Affairs Canada, the Royal Canadian Legion, and OSIS, the Operational Stress Injury Social Support Program. So I got help from all these three agencies, and it made me kind of who I am today and a better police officer and helped my personal life out. But then when we got on the streets, we started recognizing military veterans that weren't connected to these services. And it's kind of hard to ask for help when you're suffering, and it's hard to sometimes there's a lot of stigmas around. You think other people deserve the help more so than you do, but there's also a lack of cultural competency among policing across Canada. So what we were able to do is we were able to work our way through the entire policing chain of command to get approvals to create this and build this to what it is today. But essentially what it is today is a 1-hour training program so that any police officer in Canada can actually take it on our Canadian Police Knowledge Network for free because Toronto Police waived all the fees. And that training package, which took us a year to build, we got a lot of help from a lot of different people. So it's essentially a nationally based community policing initiative where we brought the entire community together to help build a program. So the training is what's life like in the military, what are your common struggles, and how difficult can it be to transition out of the military and into civilian life, how a veteran might end up in crisis, whether that be suicide or homelessness, and how police would be called to that crisis as a 911 call. Additional training on de-escalation so that a police officer can actually more effectively de-escalate a veteran while they're in crisis. What is the social services at the national level that can help a veteran? So Veterans Affairs Canada, the Legion, and OSIS. And I honestly think those are the best 3 social services in the world for what they can offer a person. And then after that, it's how can a frontline police officer at the side of the road connect that suffering veteran to the federal support. So we built a referral form, and it's probably one of the first medically based referral forms in Canada that any police officer can essentially pull up the form in their police car, do a simple verbal consent for contact under person in crisis legislation. And that was kind of based a little bit off the Focus program with Detective Brian Smith and the rest of the team at the Community Partnerships and Engagement Unit. But as soon as they have that form, they click the submit by email button, and that form leaves the police car and goes right to the federal government. And then all 3 of those agencies call the veteran to offer all the support that they're entitled to. So right away, with that referral to the federal government, we're able to leverage the federal government to assist with a municipal matter. And we've replicated that across Canada. So far we're doing pretty well. We got about 90 police services across Canada that are involved in implementing the program. And we're in every province, every territory. The RCMP launched it. And believe it or not, we've shared this with the United States, all their federal agencies, the United States Veterans Affairs, and the Department of Veterans Affairs of Australia formally requested that the Australian Federal Police do this program. So
Wow.
it's been a lot of fun. We've been in the weeds of this since 2019, and we have a big team, and it's been a lot of fun to do this. It's been a passion project.
Well, it's so important. And again, I don't think unless you've been involved with people in crisis to understand really what it's to have the tools available and make it simple to get people what they need. That's huge.
It's very popular because it follows a little bit of the one government approach. So police are they're perfect conduits to connecting a person in crisis to the social supports. So police aren't giving the social supports. Police are just connecting people. And we do that through building a good rapport, providing empathy to their situation, defusing and de-escalating everything. And then once we have a bit of rapport and a bit of influence, it's how do we get this person help to improve public safety and have no more 911 calls for that person.
So let's say, not a police officer comes across someone that's in crisis or someone that they may believe could be a veteran. Is there something that the general public can do to help?
The best thing the general public can do is be there to support the other people in the general public. So if you see somebody that's struggling and you build a rapport and a connection with them, you can help direct them into support and into help. But if you're not able to do that, the best thing you can do is call a police officer to aid in de-escalation and aid in that crisis scenario. And then as soon as a police officer understands through the training and through talking to people in the public that this person actually is a military veteran, they're entitled to so much more and so many more services because of the service they had to their country. And we're able to do this not even for Canadian veterans, but also international veterans in a lot of cases that are actually living in Canada. We'll either connect them to their home country's supports, or there's some cases where Canada will support these veterans as well.
So in many cases, it's people who are entitled to support that don't know that they're entitled or just don't know where to get the help. So they're sort of on their own.
Yeah, like when I left the military, I didn't think I deserved help, and I didn't think I needed it until my peers and my friends and my family and my wife, they were like, okay, you need to get some help. And other than that, I wouldn't have gotten help. I would have just kept on pushing through. And you find that a lot with the military community, because when you think of like a combat scenario where you twist your ankle or you get an ache and pain or a bruise, the training teaches you to fight through those things. And unfortunately, the military population will apply the whole idea of fighting through the pain into their personal lives and into their mental health in scenarios that aren't combat related, just because that's the way they were trained. But with the training that's provided and with the interaction a police officer has with that veteran, they can break down those stereotypes and those mental health stigmas so that the veteran can actually realize that, yes, you do need to ask for help sometimes and you do need to receive the help. But
And it's okay. It's okay to do that.
It's very okay, but it's very challenging because it's hard to ask for help when you're sick, and sometimes you want to just push through. But the training teaches that, and we can all do that as good citizens. When we see a military veteran that might be struggling, we can have those conversations with them. And just remind them that thank you for what you did for the country, and now let's make sure you get the help you're entitled to.
Aside from the amazing work you're doing, you've had some amazing help and partnerships. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, so this, when I say it's a nationally based community policing initiative, it's because I had help from everybody. Both me and Jeremy sitting here trying to quarterback this whole initiative would never be possible with 2 police constables. So we had help from every layer of Toronto Police, from my direct staff sergeant when I had a few weeks on the job, when I was asking him about the problem, to being in front of my unit commander the next week, to all the way up to the chief, where we sold and explained our idea and our passion, and we helped get help from everybody. So we got help from Veterans Affairs Canada, the Royal Canadian Legion, and OSIS. We got a lot of help from Dr. Peter Collins, a forensic psychiatrist, to write all the de-escalation aspects. My wife, actually, Genevieve, she helped write all the mental health training. So that way we had a doctor that's a clinical psychologist explain the mental health aspects of a suffering military veteran. And the whole reason behind that, though, is so a police officer can better de-escalate, because you can better de-escalate if you can put yourself in the person's shoes, understand what they're going through, and then it's easier for you to provide empathy and can establish a connection so you can actually help the person. So we got a lot of help there. And my little sister, actually, she's a defense scientist for Department of National Defense. So she's got her PhD in performance measurements. So she took the entire program, provided a structural framework, a logic model, and a performance measurement so I could academically say this is what the program is. And then our supervisors and our decision makers can look at our structural framework, look at the logic model, and they can make correlations to how we're set up in the program and to how we logically get to our end results. And now we actually have a way to measure it. So it's essentially the science that backs the program. And those are kind of the key authors. But ever since then, we've had so much help from so many different people, like from the veteran community, across Canada, the international community, and police officers all throughout the Toronto, and throughout Canada, actually, because the closest population to a military veteran population is really a policing population. So a lot of police officers do the training, and they find some connections and some common ground between what a military veteran might go through after a tour versus how a police officer might be feeling after maybe a challenging call or a challenging few years. So, yeah, this by no means could have been done by just 2 people. We also tried to make the training exciting. So CPCAN, the Canadian Police Knowledge Network, we've done a lot of training, and we're usually doing the training at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, when there's no calls on the board and you have a couple minutes to do the mandatory training. So we said, oh my goodness, we need to make this training exciting so people learn it and so people remember it. So me and Jeremy really sat back and we asked ourselves, like, what's the coolest thing that we could put in this training that helped us? Because if it helped us, I'm sure it can help other people. So we reached out to Jocko Willinks. We got intellectual property rights to use one of his videos into the training. We reached out to the David Lynch Foundation. We got videos from them, from the military, from TED Talks. And I cold called on LinkedIn, actually, the Five Finger Death Punch Band.
Right on.
One of the biggest rock bands. If you don't know, they're amazing. But they essentially let us use the music video Wrong Side of Heaven. So I think we're like the first online training program on CPK to have a full rock video on it.
Probably.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I've had a lot of support from every level of Toronto Police, and it's been really good because one of the things I like to say, and like from my previous like military experience, when it comes to like going through a building, let's say. One of my commanders said, "Hey, just keep charging forward. You know what to do. Just keep charging forward. Just back brief me what's going on, and I'll keep directing you, but keep on charging." And I've kind of applied that to life in Toronto, and I said that to one of our senior officers, and she was like, "You keep on charging, back brief us what's happening. We'll protect you and we'll help guide you, but keep doing it." And it's been a blessing from the command of Toronto Police to actually be able to run with this and actually like run with a passion project.
It's truly amazing, and the Toronto Police has been so good about supporting members in this way, supporting you in this project. And similarly, how about the way they support me and what we do here at Traffic Services? So it's great when you have good managers in a supportive organization. It makes all the difference between make or break, right? But I love the fact that it's become this enormous deal. I mean, it's a big deal, but it's taken a life of its own, right?
It's been we're starting to have champions across different police services. We've successfully referred about 65 military veterans in the city of Toronto that were in crisis that needed help. Across Canada, we're in the 200s, so we're definitely making a difference and making an impact.
After you refer to them, do you refer them to the program? Are you circling back? Do you maintain connection? Are they part of the family now?
So that's the beauty about this program. So what we did was we provided the training and the referral mechanism, and every police service can build upon that. And we always tell police services to leverage local services. So the program directly refers to Veterans Affairs, Legion, OSIS, but those are all federal services. But through the training, we also tell each service to also leverage your local services. And other services have also built a mechanism where they can go and revisit the person and revisit the veteran, and they have it built into, I think, the 1 month, 3 month, and 1 year portion.
Nice.
Waterloo's been incredible for that, and they took that. I think they have a lot. I think they actually have more referrals than us right now. They're doing really, really good.
But it's not a race.
It's not a race.
We're not competing. There's no free toaster. But having that you came into the police service, transitioning from the military, never planning on any of this.
No.
What do you think the most meaningful? I mean, there's so much good, but what's the biggest or the most impactful thing that you would relate to?
Leaving the military was very hard for me because I was in CSOR, the Canadian Special Operations Regiment. I was an operator, and my whole platoon was going to Iraq, and I was coming to Toronto Police, and so I felt like a lot of disconnect from not doing that, and I started, and it took me a while to find my passion and what was going to motivate me, like being an operator did. And I feel like this program's actually helped save my life because it gave me like a perfect platform to give back and to really like get into and dive headfirst into. So I think this program's helped me a lot, to be quite honest with you.
It's funny because, it's not appropriate really to compare, because what you have done and served and been part of is so much bigger than what I have.
Oh, that's not a competition.
No, but like for me, I came off a motorcycle collision being a motor squad officer, and I ended up doing behind the scenes stuff, and I wasn't feeling like a cop anymore. And creating the podcast and live stream and social media interaction really allowed me to contribute in a way that was meaningful. And I've come to realize that what I do online it has more impact than I ever did as a cop stopping one person at a time on the street. And there's where I get to flip it back. What you're doing now and helping people in a totally different way, because there's police where people helping people, but you are helping people who need it, who need it in such a special and unique way and deserve it. So I'm so. Is it weird to say I'm proud of you? Like, it's so amazing that you've done this incredible thing.
Thank you. That means a lot. But we were just saying a second ago, like, we didn't do this with two people. Like, I've been here now for almost 2 hours, and we've been filming for like 5 minutes at this point. But you literally helped piece together a lot of my future goals for this program, because you're helping you're helping me with your lessons learned, so this program can be better.
Well,
And yeah, it's amazing because it really is a team effort. And thank you as well.
It's my pleasure. My whole goal is to help. We talk about the public and helping the public and answering questions, but my goal is to help police be better communicators and as I said, cell safety. Trying to really build that communication. So if I can help the wellness unit, the military veterans wellness unit. I'm not saying that properly, but
Military Veterans Wellness
Program,
yeah.
not unit, program. But if I can help you do something better, then you got me 100%.
It's funny, like right when I first started with policing, I never realized how good like a good talker can be when it comes to de-escalation and public safety. Like when you see a person give the aggressor their handcuffs and say, "Put the handcuffs on and go sit in my car." And it just blows your mind how good of a talker a person can be and how you can de-escalate so well with good training and with good mentorship. And I think we're both aligned on how good and how important that can be. And that's what I'm trying to do. Like at the end of the day, no one wants to see a military veteran in handcuffs. What we want to see is a military veteran get the help they may or may not need, because a lot of military veterans transition from the military and they're super successful and they do really, really well. But a couple of people have some traumas that they need assistance with. And if we can do that and help these people get back to being super good members of society and live an amazing life, we owe that to them, because without the work people do overseas, Canada would be a very different place. And that goes way back in through our history.
It's to prevent suffering. And people who are suffering in silence need that extra, hand to be reached out.
It's awful. Like the military creates body armor and it has helmets and bulletproof vests, and we lost a lot of people in Afghanistan and Iraq, but we've actually lost way more to suicide. And for these people, the war's not over yet. They're still dealing with the demons and the results of their service and their experience, but we can't forget these people. And as police, we need to really make sure we help divert people away from crime and get them the help they need so there's not a second 911 call, and so public safety is improved. And we owe it to our veterans. I like to say, like, protect the protectors.
I like that.
Yeah.
If people watching this want to help your program in some way, is there a mechanism that the public can, not just helping the person on the street, but helping the program? Is there, can they buy T-shirts? Can they somehow contribute in any way, shape, or form? And I mean that because I know people are going to ask me, and I have to ask for them.
Okay.
Whether it be, funding. Do you fund anything? Is there a way to support?
So this is a very unique program because the program's designed for police. But the more awareness I can have about my program to police leaders and to the public and to veterans would be beneficial. So anything to do with, we talked a lot about social media impact and creating a good social media impact, good national impact, good international impact to share best practices. That'll all be beneficial. But the police is a very weird thing because we can't say, I'm the Toronto Police and I want to ask for money. So we don't do that. But what we can do is we can help build brand awareness to the Military Veterans Wellness Program and help to divert people that may be suffering into help. So our whole idea is public safety, and our whole idea is awareness, and we can build through awareness mainly through connections and through social media. So,
is there a public-facing website?
There is a public-facing website. It's on the Toronto Police website under the Community Partnerships Engagement Unit. It's the Military Veterans Wellness Program. And our social handles are military_veteran_wellness.
Okay.
And any kind of help, anybody, like programs like this, they don't really, it's a nationally based community policing initiative, but the team that we have that's helped out in this is in the 160 people range. Like everybody has a different piece of the pie that's helped out with. So both yourself and the greater masses, if you guys have any, guys and girls, if you guys have any ideas to how to make this better and how we can help and how the police can do a better job at helping suffering veterans in any way, please email and reach out to us, and we'll have our links and emails at the bottom of the podcast.
Yeah.
But this is really a teamwork This is all based around teamwork, and that's what community policing really is.
So first off, if you're watching this and you know somebody that would benefit from knowing about this, share this podcast episode with them. That would be a huge help.
Thank you.
Because within this podcast, you're going to be able to share the contact information so that more people can become aware of the program. And then if you know of an individual needing help, you can contact the police to get a referral, to get them the help they need, because you may not be in a position to approach it. Right?
Yeah, so our partnerships go way beyond Toronto, though. Like we're in partnership with an organization called Media Twist, and they're actually helping to amplify our message across Canada and the United States. And they're essentially taking their skills at selling out concerts and selling out shows and applying that to selling out an idea of public safety, an idea of military wellness, an idea of every cop needs cultural competency, de-escalation training about the veteran population. And then they needed a way to connect that veteran to the supports that save their lives. Like in the United States, the majority of veterans that actually die by suicide aren't connected to the services. So how can I, as a police officer, connect a person to those services so they don't choose that dark way out?
Yeah. So we need everyone to come together as a community and share and educate. And that's what you guys are. You're putting those puzzle pieces together and making them available, and I love it.
Thank you.
Share the podcast, and if you come across someone in need, notify people who can help. And those people happen to be police, especially if they're involved with this program. And if your local police service isn't involved with this program, let them know that they can contact
please.
and reach out and get involved with the program. So awesome stuff. Thank you for coming in and spending time. And I look forward to helping and working together on this going forward.
Yeah, I feel like we have a lot more conversations to do because the things you're doing is amazing. And like I explained, I can learn a lot from you, I'm sure, to help amplify this message. And thank you for everything.
Pleasure. Awesome. We'll talk to you soon.